This is the update you've all been waiting for. I've also been waiting for it. Brics, the 2024 summit that was held in Kazan, Russia. The results are in, and you're gonna wanna hear about this. It's a pretty long update, so if you stay till the end, I'm gonna tell you how you can divest and invest in the Brics system. Welcome to my channel. I'm Ashley. My channel, Ashley in Africa. I teach people like you, entrepreneurs and their families, how to build a better life abroad, outside of the country of the US, in Africa. I'm currently in Zanzibar, Tanzania. I wrapped up my second annual in-person investor summit here in Zanzibar, Tanzania. I'm at the airport, and it's quite fitting because at the end of this, I'm going to tell you how to invest in the Brics system, and a part of it has to do with travel. All right, so stay tuned. If this type of content interests you, please be sure to like this video and share it with someone who would find value in it. You guys have been in the comments asking me for updates, but you know I've been in Zanzibar with investors, right? So I'm here and I've read all of the recaps, the press, the media recaps, and I've watched a lot of videos. I'll link them below for you to do your own research, but this is a huge update, guys, and I cannot wait to share it with you. As you can see, I'm at the airport, so you see people in the background. You'll hear a bit of noise. Hopefully I can get this out with as minimal noise as possible, as we're at the airport very early, but I had to make sure that I avoided any delays. All right, so the Brics Summit 2024 was held in Kazan, Russia, and they are growing. They've added 13 new partner countries that I'll share, and this was a historic summit, guys. It was held in Kazan, Russia, as I mentioned, from Tuesday, October 22nd to Thursday, October 24th, which was pretty much in the middle of our Africa Investors Academy Summit. So this was the 16th annual Brics Summit. And so for those of you guys who are just getting wind of this, this has been going on for decades. And growth happens over time. I know that now, living outside of the US. The expectation that things are to happen quickly and overnight is a very Western mindset. And this Brics system, essentially a conglomerate of countries looking to develop in their own currency, without the tyranny, right, of the US dollar. That is what the Brics system is about, and it's taken time. This was the first Brics summit to include Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the UAE as members following their ascension into the organization, into the organization at the 15th Brics Summit held last year in Johannesburg, South Africa. All right, and so at this historic meeting, President Xi Jinping referred to Brics as a vanguard for advancing global governance reform and reforming of the international financial architecture. I love how they are totally shading the US without saying it. I'm saying it because I'm American, and while I love my country, I also love the fact that there is a shift happening where we will have to make sure that we are globally competitive. We will now have to be intentional about our global competency, from our children to who we are as adults. No longer will we just reign supreme. And I think this is really good, because what we're seeing in the US is a complete decline of intellectual capital as well as social capital. And ultimately financial capital is on the brinks of that. And essentially Brics is creating a shield and a multipolarity that can protect formerly colonized nations, helping them to resist Western unipolarity and the tyranny of the dollar, as I said, right? This is quoted by Chinese President Xi Jinping, China's president. And let's talk about these new countries. This is huge, guys. 2 of them are African countries, 3, and that's amazing. The first country, and this is in alphabetical order, right? Algeria, Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Indonesia, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Nigeria, Thailand, Turkey, Uganda, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam. This is powerful. 3 more African countries have joined the Brics conglomerate, and this is extremely, extremely powerful. And together, right, they are superseding the GDP of the Western hegemony, and the numbers that I'll share with you haven't been recorded for the new partner countries, but when they get inducted, right, at the top of 2025, the numbers are going to just blow away the G7. So together, the current 9 BRICS members, right, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the UAE, they, comprise 1/3 of the world's GDP. Well over it, I'm saying, more than 1/3. And they have well over 40% of the planet's population, making up roughly 30% of global oil production. You know, the G7 nations are less than 10% of the world's population and under 30% of the GDP. And their share of the global economy is shrinking, guys. It's shrinking, whereas BRICS is steadily increasing, okay? And this is when these new partner countries are announced, they will far supersede these numbers. I mean, it's going to be over 50% in every area. 50% of population, 50% of the GDP growth, 50% of it all, right? And this is huge. And of course, there's been some criticism. There's criticism in the comments, right? You guys are critics, and you should be. Everybody deserves to have an opinion. And these facts just push that criticism and will continue to push it to the next level. All right, so some of the Western critics, of course, of the BRICS system, they have been trying to provoke disunity. I've seen it here in the comments where they're like, oh, they don't even like each other, exploiting the public relation blows between Argentina's rejection and Saudi Arabia's indecision to depict the organization as fragmented. Well, you know, I think this is very strategic because all conversations do not need to be had in public. And you can accept an invitation without making a public statement because you are strategically moving your economy in a direction that is not for the world's opinion or the world's consumption and view. The Western corporate media, of course, has also tried to attempt and promote conflict within the BRICS system. And there have been some major changes that have happened publicly that we can talk about now. So China and India have resolved their border dispute. And this happened prior to the Kazan, Russia hosted summit. And it's said that Vladimir Putin was one of the folks that actually mitigated that like was the person to essentially come in and help resolve and make sure that this was all taken care of. Guys, it's getting busy here. So one of the highlights of the Kazan summit was a discussion of plans to transform the international monetary and financial system based on a report published by the Central Bank and Finance Ministry of Russia. So we've already been talking about the BRICS system. It's going to be a digital currency. It's meant to allow countries to avoid the SWIFT system, and that was discussed, right? And again, a lot of this stuff was not mentioned during the summit. It was reporters that have essentially come out with a lot of these things, because this is what, you know, a lot of people move in silence, and this is amazing. This is completely amazing. So I'm predicting that this currency will be here a lot sooner than later. And then one of the most important developments at the meeting it happened actually, like I said, before the summit. In Kazan, China and India signed a historic agreement settling a 4-year border dispute. On the sidelines of the BRICS summit, President Xi and Prime Minister Modi also held their first bilateral meeting in 5 years. So to all of the haters talking about China and India's dispute, well, they have taken one historic step forward into resolving said agreement. Russia, which has had good relations with both China and India, essentially mediated and promoted cooperation between the two nations and appears to have had success in encouraging deeper unity inside Brics. And in an earlier sign that relations were improving, in May 2024, Beijing sent its ambassador to New Delhi for the first time in 18 months. People don't get on flights unless they are intentional, right, about whatever is on the other side. And while the US has sought to woo India and exploit its differences with China, the most powerful economy in the world, they've tried to essentially exacerbate the tensions between Beijing and divide this Brics. And essentially, we saw who was where. And, this is huge. These are major, major, major changes. And there were some really incredible quotes that I want to pull from what was said. And there were so many. I will link a ton of videos below. But I want to start with President Cyril Ramaphosa. He made a very bold statement talking about peace and his concern about the military aggression. And this was his quote: "South Africa is concerned about the military aggression by Israel against the people of Gaza, which we have characterized as genocide. This genocide led to South Africa to approach the International Court of Justice with a view to stop the killing of innocent women and children in Gaza," he said. Ramaphosa said his country believes the world cannot sit by and watch the suffering of Palestinians. And I saw there was a lot of criticism of Ramaphosa's speech, stating he should do what he is elected to do as the president, to be worried and concerned about his economy, his local citizens. And while I do believe he is, I think this is so important now more than ever to take a global position, especially as a president of a country that has overcome a level of complete hardship and apartheid, right? So he talked about how the world cannot afford another region-wide escalating of the conflict, and this was in relation to Israel's attacks on Gaza and Lebanon, and the plan to attack Iran, who is also a member of the Brics conglomerate. And he called on the international community again and addressed the UN Security Council with the conflict. So I'll link that video below for you to review and hear it for yourself. It was quite powerful. President Xi Jinping called for peace as well in Gaza and Lebanon, stating we must promote an immediate ceasefire and an end to the killings, and with a goal to make unremitted efforts towards a comprehensive, just, and lasting resolution of the Palestinian question. And Putin spoke about lamenting that the transition to a more multipolar world, quote, is not proceeding smoothly. Its development is being retarded by forces accustomed to thinking and acting in logic of dominating everything and everyone. We wonder who he was addressing with that quote, end quote. Okay, so Iran's new president, Masoud Pezeshkian, guys, was also at the Kazan summit, where he expressed enthusiastic support for Brics' plan to build a more multipolar financial system. So this is about reforming the financial system, essentially, so that countries can develop, and they want to do that. And if you know anything about geopolitics and the global economy and who's been at the head of that, development of nations has been extremely held under scrutiny. Without, if they decided to move outside of the dollar, this was not even a thing. One of the reasons why I love Tanzania, I already see the multipolar trade, and my prediction is that Tanzania will also join the BRICS system in 2026. That's my prediction, and this is how, you wanna know how you can invest in the BRICS system? Well, it's essentially divesting from the G7 Western system and investing in what is new, what is now, and what is actively growing. This is an airport in Zanzibar, Tanzania. Brand new terminal, and it's only growing. I shot a ton of videos out here, and this airport is growing. The development is fast. And if you want to invest in the BRICS system, the main way you will do that is traveling abroad and investing in systems that are part of the BRICS system. I have a challenge coming up called the Travel and Thrive Challenge. It's going to be a free challenge. And if you want to join that, you will learn how you can earn an income from anywhere in the world and essentially take that income and invest it in economies that are growing, that are on the right trajectory to growth, economic development, and, you know, essentially just a better way of life. We'd love to have you at the Travel and Thrive Challenge. And if you have an interest, the link will be in the description. Until the next video, I'll see you soon.